was wondering what were the causes? What do you think are the causes of fibroids? Like, is it more on the food side of things? Is it like chronic stress? Is it like what if you
Awesome.
had to guess, like in your gut of guts?
Sure,
What?
absolutely. So there, there's some things that we know, and there's some things that we don't know. So what we do know is that there are genes that actually code for fibroids, right? That women have. You have actual genes that code for them. And for women that have fibroid genes, they definitely have a higher propensity of growing fibroids, similar to like a breast cancer, ovarian cancer gene, where you can develop a breast cancer, similar to, different other cancer genes. But these are benign, non-cancerous for the most part,
Mhm.
growths. And so to that point, the gene is what starts it. Now, just like a cancer, you may have a gene for cancer and it may never come to fruition. Like women, just because you have a BRCA gene doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean you're going to have breast cancer. You just have a much higher chance or risk of that happening. Now, to that point, there are environmental factors that causes the regulation of these genes to happen and the growths to happen, that can increase that risk. And that goes from genetics, diet, age, and other environmental factors. So I think that does play a role in it.
Mhm.
I think there's a mistake to believe that, um, it's just all diet. Like I have people that say, all right, well, if I just stop eating this, then it will stop growing, or this is the only reason that it happened is because I had this particular diet. Because the truth of the matter, from experiences, I have women that have been lifelong vegetarians that have fibroids that I perform
Mhm.
surgeries on. I have women that have been vegan for decades that have fibroids, right? So it took
Uh-huh.
for somebody to say that it's just meat and not
Right.
understand that there are other factors. I think that's just not fair to women that have fibroids and don't eat meat, right? It has to be other factors. Now, this is what I will say. So this is my gut, and this is what I've learned. It is true that all women of all diasporas have fibroids, right? I've operated on Asian women. I've operated on Indian women. I've operated on white women and black women. The other truth is that black women do have a slightly higher rate of having fibroids, but even more importantly, black women have a higher rate of advanced fibroid disease, meaning fibroids that grow larger or become more problematic. And my definition of advanced fibroid disease, is fibroids that are at least 10 centimeters big, or fibroids that in combination, stretch to the belly button and beyond. Now, if I look at all of my patients, black women heavily number all other races as it pertains to advanced fibroid disease. The reasons for that are as follows. Now, this is where my opinion comes in. My opinion on that is, number one, black women and black people in this country all over deal with the higher level of stress than anybody. And only we understand that, from microaggressions at work in our regular life to the things that we have to do to become successful. We deal with a consistent daily level of stress that is hard to quantify, right? That's number one. Number two, it is access to food. So even though food is not a direct, um, a cause of it, it is also true that people that, um, eat meat, eat more processed food, do have a higher rate of fibroids. So when you look at it globally, it may not be the direct cause, but it is the cause of why things are worse because of our food deserts and our access to foods. The third thing that I say is that, as globally, as black people, or at least, from this country, we have been the burden bears, number one, but now we're finally able to now create some generational wealth. We are in these positions to do that, Black women as well as Black men.
Mhm.
And to that point, we have to come out of debt. Not to say everybody, but a lot of us are first generation now making money. And with that comes a lot of responsibility. And especially for Black women, 40, 50, 60 years ago, it wasn't anticipated or expected that you go out and now, be doctors, lawyers, take care of households and things. Now it is. So now you're putting off childbearing at later ages. All
Mhm.
right. You're doing things at a later time in life. And so now when you finally do decide to deal with you and to be, and to go into being a mom, now it's at a more advanced state. Whereas a white woman or Asian woman who's had her babies in her early 20s, mid 20s, got fibroids in her late 20s or early 30s. Oh, I
Mhm.
don't need this anymore. I got a family. Hysterectomy. There's no stigmas on it. They have not been through all of these problems and issues through the medical system that we've been to, and not wanting to go to the doctor, not being cut gut open like a pig, like all of that stuff that Black women have had to endure for years in this country and run away from the doctor, rightfully so, don't have to deal with that. So when you add all of those things in, the majority of the women that I see, not all of them. I talked to somebody today that was 32, but for the most part, the women that I speak to are 37 to 45, later 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, and are now desperately now trying to use their uterus to be moms, and now have advanced fibroid disease because they are later in life trying to become moms. So that's my personal assessment, and people don't really like look at all of those other socioeconomic factors as it pertains to fibroid
Mhm.
growth, but they have to be paid attention to because it's a reason why it's happening. There's a trend of why that's happening. So I know
Absolutely.
that's a lot, but I hope that answers your question.
No, it absolutely did. I mean, that honestly is the first time anybody, and by buddy I mean doctor, that has explained it out at all, or even attempted to, other than just saying it's Black and brown women that have fibroids, and we know that's not the case.